फ्रेंड्स, चाइना ने फिर से उंगली शुरू कर दिया है। जी हाँ, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द रिसेंट स्टैंड अप बिटवीन इंडियन एंड चाइनीज आर्मी इन लद्दाख। Similar situation happened in Doklam in 2017, but that time it was an act of aggression, whereas this time it is an act of desperation. In this video, I am going to discuss about three things. Number one, the historical context of India and China border dispute in Ladakh. Number two, why China is creating this trouble now. And number three, what concessions are they actually looking for it. Stay with me till the end. The dispute on the control of Aksai Chin, which is a mountain desert and mostly uninhabited area, has been historical. Let me use this diagram from Wikipedia to explain the evolution of India-China border dispute in Ladakh front, as it contains all the important elements. India-China border dispute can be traced all the way back to 1842, when the Sikh Empire annexed the Ladakh, ran expeditions to Tibet, and finally signed a treaty with Chinese government. However, it was until 1865 when W.H. Johnson, a British surveyor for East India Company, for the first time defined the boundary of the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir and put Aksai Chin within India. But in 1899, British presented an alternate boundary to the Imperial government of China, which is known as Mcarteny-Mcdonald line, which ceded northeast portion of the Aksai Chin to the China. But from 1899 to 1911, both these boundaries were used for British government maps. In 1911, post the Xinhia Revolution, whereby the Imperial government of China was toppled and the communist government was formed, British started to use the 1865 Johnson line as the official boundary of the Jammu and Kashmir state, which forms the rightful claim of Indian government on Aksai Chin. After independence, from 1947 till 1958, there was no border dispute between India and China, and actually there was no such formal border outpost. Indian army ran expeditions all the way up to its territory till 1957. However, because the Aksai Chin is in the northern portion of the Karakoram mountain and is easily accessible from Tibetan plateau, Chinese government started building a massive road project whereby connecting the Xinjiang province with the Tibet, and of it around 179 kilometers falls within this Aksai Chin area. And India, sitting south of the Karakoram range, found it difficult to access Aksai Chin. They were not able to know about the existence of this road till 1958 when a Chinese map published. This led to a border dispute between India and China, and it was in 1960, after the meet of the Nehru and Zhou line, the then Chinese premier, a committee was set up to resolve the border dispute. But unfortunately, when the border dispute was not resolved, this led to this 1962 Indo-China war. This map shows the 1960 claim line of China, till which they reached in 1962, and then they retreated back to the current LOC. Post 1962, India and China have relatively a stable border. There have been some skirmishes like Nathula and Chola clash in 1967, the Samudurang Valley clash in 1987, and the Doklam standoff in 2017. Other disputes are generally resolved at the local military scale. But the question is that why this time it has escalated to such a big event? The strategic affairs experts are predicting three major reasons. Number one, China is currently on back foot because of the corona issue, and Trump is raining fire on China, and he is trying to use India against China using his bonhomie with Mr. Narendra Modi. Number two, in the last decade, India has rapidly scaled up its infrastructure and military presence in Ladakh area, and now they have built roads which are only 17 kilometers away from their Trans-Karakoram highway, which is part of the China's ambitious OBOR project. Definitely, China is not comfortable with such massive development from India's side. And number three is none other than Mr. Narendra Modi itself. The previous UPA government were pacific in nature, trying to avoid confrontation. However, China learned that Modi 1.0 was a different government when they faced the India in Doklam standoff. And now with Amit Shah as India's Home Minister and India government scrapping Article 370 and Mr. Amit Shah very strongly asserting India's control on Aksai Chin and Gilgit area, China now sees a red alarm. Now that brings us to the third point on what China actually wants out of this situation, as all the strategic affairs and military experts have ruled out military war. According to them, this current China's maneuver is a reaction to the improving Indo-US ties and Washington's Indo-Pacific Treaty. As Mr. Trump is increasing heat on China on trade war and trying to stitch a broader coalition with India and other Asian countries to contain China, China sees India can play a pivotal role tilting the balance, as it not only has the historical significance but also a growth potential. Presence of US Navy in China Sea and an aspirational India in the southern border is a nightmare scenario for China. Also, India has adopted recently a look-east policy that focuses on nation which has better relation with China and also anxious about the Chinese intentions. Recently, India has also been a signatory of a COVID-19 probe that will monitor if China had hidden any information on coronavirus. In conclusion, the current military escalation seems to reflect Beijing's opportunistic estimation that India, with increasing corona infections and coupled with economic downturn, is not in a position to wage a border conflict and use it as a pressure tactic to send signal to India not to build a good tie with US, deter India's expansion on both political and economic footprint in Southeast Asia, and also back up from the criticism of Chinese government on the way it has handled the corona war. If you appreciate my work, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, as I will come up with similar videos in coming days. Thank you.